We loved him. We were a little in awe of him.
Really?
Yeah. Well, he was the man, you know, the man.
And the Oscar goes to Brendan Fraser. The Whale.
So this is what the multiverse looks like. Oh. Oh.
So if Austin didn't win an Oscar for the Elvis movie, he should have won an Oscar right there for him acting like he was so happy that Brendan won. I'm not knocking him out, you know. He's probably a good sport, but you know that, like, to have a smile on your face when you know you put in the years of work and all the Elvis fans were rooting for you, or at least 98% of them were, and you didn't win, you got to be disappointed, and you know he was on the inside. But he's a good sport. So a lot of you guys who follow me on Instagram, Facebook, YouTube here, you already know my thoughts on it, you know. So I wanted to just briefly go over it again, and at the end of this video, read some of the best comments from you guys that I came across on YouTube, Instagram, because you guys had some great comments, better than how I could put it, really. So the Brendan Fraser movie, obviously he's been around for a while. I didn't watch the movie that he was in, and so I'm not going to say he was undeserving. I'm not saying anybody, you know, that won was undeserving. I'll just say that I was very, very disappointed that Austin didn't win. Like, you know, we were all rooting for him. I personally loved the movie, like the cinematography, the acting, just the dedication that Austin put in, and we just wanted so bad for him to win an Oscar. He won a Golden Globe. We were happy for that, and he was nominated for the Elvis movie was nominated for 8 awards, and we're like, and I was personally thinking that, like, I would have put money that he would have won, but he didn't. And it kind of seems like that's a reflection of how Elvis was dealt in Hollywood anyway. They pretty much, Hollywood they used him for easy money to make quick cash, you know, without getting into too deep of detail. You know, a lot of us know that Elvis's more serious movies after he got out of the army, they didn't go over too well as far as at the box office, and the, you know, kind of silly musical type films did. So that's the pattern that was followed, even though Elvis really started to hate it as the 60s went on. But it was like, you know, Elvis only won 3 Grammy Awards, and that were all for his gospel inspirational performances. So the King of Rock and Roll wins no Grammys. So this is the amount of stake we put into these, you know, professional awards. A lot of it is just Hollywood, pandering to Hollywood, the elites, you know, propping up the films that they feel suits them. I'm sure Brendan was deserving, but I'm just disappointed. This would have been, you know, the cherry on the sundae. This would have just been the icing on the cake. Austin deserved it. Definitely he deserved it for his effort. And honestly, I don't know if anybody really thought about this, but, you know, Lisa Marie, one of the reasons why she passed away, you know, some people conclude that she lost a dramatic amount of weight in a short period of time to make it to all these appearances, these public appearances in support of Austin in the movie. And he didn't even win Sunday night. So it kind of seems like, man, all for nothing. But it's just one of those things. Or how Elvis said, that's how the mop flops, or that's how the cookie crumbles. I'm not bitter about it. I'm just a little disappointed, but it is sort of fitting. Elvis never got any love from Hollywood or the establishment. The fans are the ones that gave him everything he had, and we're still the ones that make him relevant. So I'm glad we still have a masterpiece of a film, the Elvis movie. I love it. It is cherished among Elvis fans. It's go down, in my opinion, as the greatest Elvis movie of all time. I don't think anybody can really refute that. As far as what I think about some of the people who talk bad about the movie, that it is, you know, not historically accurate. Guys, this was not a documentary. Baz had, the creative control, the creative license to go in there and make a movie out of Elvis's life. This wasn't a documentary. This wasn't Elvis day by day put to film. The story was told, and a lot of it was chronologically intact. But, there were some changes, but that doesn't matter. Talks about Elvis, how he grew up poor, very talented, got a lot of inspiration from African-American artists, but I wish they would have put a little more emphasis on his country western input too, but that's okay. I understand why they did that. I was so extremely excited to see this movie last summer. I saw it 6 times, like many of you who saw it multiple times. My biggest concern was, one, they would make it out like Parker was the genius, which they didn't, and I'm very happy about that. Right from the opening scene, they showed Parker as, the crook, the villain, which I believe and many Elvis fans believe he was, not the one who made Elvis. If so, why didn't he make more? My friend Doug says. And then I was worried about them making Elvis be corny, but Austin proved me wrong. He played Elvis without being an Elvis impersonator. That's not a shot to Elvis impersonators, but how can you impersonate the great one? You can't. And Austin didn't come off corny. I love it. I could say so many things, but I think I'll get to the fan comments, which I'll read to you some of my favorites. Obviously, I can't read them all because there were literally thousands between Facebook, YouTube, and Instagram. All right, Ruth says, well, the first time I've watched the Oscars in 8 years, but I was so proud of Austin, how he smiled, stood up and clapped for Brendan when he won. Austin is a class act, and his movie Elvis will be around for decades. Your performance, Austin, was off the charts. Now I won't watch the Oscars again until you are nominated again. You should have won, but life has its ups and downs, so can't wait for more movies with you in them. You're the best actor that's come out since Marlon Brando, Robert De Niro, Leonardo DiCaprio, so fear not, you are great. Lisa says, your statement is true, referring to what I said. Just read it. Elvis refused to turn away from his core values, his belief in and respect for Jesus Christ, our Lord and Savior. He didn't fit in the Hollywood environment, and on the other hand, he didn't like some of them either. He preferred to associate with genuine types. Hollywood appeared too disingenuous to him. But his light was so enigmatic, I'm trying to read too fast, that he couldn't be ignored, and it would have been foolish for them to try. He was chosen by divine to be a star. His calling was to introduce the world to a new sound. He was a game changer, a maverick. And she goes on to say some other things too, which I can't fit in this video. Rita says, you got it, man. Elvis was an alpha male, not the figure they would root for today. Even the Oscars have become ridiculous. It's like a circus of insanity with all those woke personas, so no worries. Better to win the people's hearts than to get awarded by weirdos, and with all the weirdos in there. Austin, you did an amazing job, dear, and Elvis will always love you. Andy says, Elvis is too American for Hollywood. Nobody watches the Oscars anyway. I just hope our man Austin goes on to do more great things. Elvis is no longer viewed as a bad Hollywood costume, which I thought was a great point, and that's something to be thankful for. The movie has brought in so many new fans. I tried to look at the positives, and people came up to me, didn't even know I was an Elvis fan, told me they saw the movie and were Elvis fans because they were just talking about it. So people were converted to Elvis through this movie. This one's a little small, so I can fit it, but Alicia says, it was really awful to watch, honestly. I was stunned that Elvis was snubbed in such a public way. If I'm remembering correctly, it was the only multi-nominated film that didn't walk away with a single award. That alone tells me something. It more like an awards party for the Everything Everywhere than anything else. At the end of the day, it was a way harder feat to embody such a significant and charismatic figure than it is to create your own character. Austin's dedication and performance deserved it all. Costumes and set design also deserved way more than what they got. At the end of the day, the agenda always wins. I wish I could say I was surprised, but like our dear friend Elvis said himself, truth is like the sun. You can shut it out for a time, but it ain't going away. We know the truth, and I said I can only imagine what Austin was thinking sitting there. That's before I even saw any of the footage of him, it would show that he was very happy for Brendan winning. Just kidding. He's a great actor. This is a quick one. Elvis, 1907, yada, yada, yada. Austin Butler wasn't just slapped by one person, he was slapped by the whole Oscar crew on who's picking winners. This is a joke. He didn't win. And then we got somebody who thought something differently. I don't know how to pronounce her name, but she responds a lot on my Instagram. I wouldn't say snubbed, and I'm Australian. They were totally credited with multiple nominations. That's not a snub. It's a huge accomplishment. There's amazing, and then there's brilliant. In saying that, I believe Austin should have beaten Brendan, but it would have been so close as they were both at 2-all. She said that. Liliel, I believe is pronounced. And then we got Shelly. Most boring Oscar ever. Wish someone would have ran up and slapped Jimmy Kimmel. And then we got one Doug here. He was responding to somebody, I believe this was on Instagram. He says, well, Top Gun and Elvis were two of the most viewed movies of the year at the actual movie theater and were nominated for 14 awards among them, I believe. Elvis went over 8 and Top Gun, I think, won 1 for sound editing. Austin had by far the most impressive performance by an actor, so it eased Woke to select Brendan because he was making a comeback. If they had not made his character morbidly obese, another Woke attention getter, he may not have been nominated. The actress that won for lead actress even said kids who look like her can now believe their dreams can come true. Wokefest, yep. So there were some heated comments and reflections on both sides. And don't know how to pronounce her name, but she says, I am sick over it. Just wanted 3 hours of my life. Although, I think she meant to say wasted. She says, although I'm not sure about the whole woke thing, but it's definitely political. And I said, just watch the Elvis movie again and get 3 hours back. LOL. All right, guys, so that concludes this reaction video. That concludes the whole Elvis movie, the movie itself, the anticipation, all the awards, Oscar, all that. Lisa, everything. This was such like an emotional maybe 9 months, for me, the fans, Austin, Lisa, not to mention, when Austin looks back at this, he's got to think, man, he not only put himself into this role like he will in roles to come, but this one is probably will be the most emotional ever if you think about everything that happened to it. Thanks, guys, for watching till the end. Check out my Patreon where I have 50 plus videos exclusive, not shown on YouTube. My Bible and fitness page. Those are the shout outs. If you're watching this long into the video, you're a true fan, so check them out. I think you'll like them as well. Elvis is the Man. I love the movie. This was a fun time. Talk to me in the comments.